My biggest memory was initially going to Bay St. Louis, and it seemed like people had been through a war zone. And people were just kind of walking around almost like zombies. And I'll never forget, there was people anywhere there was a shelter, they were kind of camping out, and that's where they were sleeping, including under the drive-thrus of McDonald's and Burger King.
Yeah, my first memories, I was at the Gulfport office as well with Ron. I remember during the storm looking out onto Highway 49 and seeing a sign from one of the gas stations blowing up Highway 49. You know, the water was a big thing in Katrina, but the wind was also really big.
Wow, during the storm, we had our families all together. Now at the time we lived in the northern part of Diamond Head, so it was really high. So during the storm we experienced a lot of high winds. Who knew at the time how serious that was going to be after the fact? But that night, after the storm had passed, we had no cell service. We were at home at our house in Diamond Head, and a lot of employees and their families were staying in our office on Highway 90 in Bay St. Louis. And you can see through some of these photos the amount of water and then the damage that was done to that building, and what the fear that had to be going through their minds experiencing the storm at that location. But with all the cell towers you couldn't get out without, there was no cell signal, but we still had our Southern Link radios. And so there were a few of us communicating, and I remember Ida Machu was in the Bay St. Louis office, and we finally kind of connected on our radios. And you would have thought, them being able to reach someone outside of that office. And I actually had cell service on our radio. So I was calling people's families to let them know they were okay. I remember standing outside and the kids watching me call these families, and the emotions, and it was pretty powerful. And I just did not know what to expect the next day when the sun came up.
It looks like me. I'm pretty sure this was me. I think I remember that hat. But Anthony Machu's in the boat. He was coming over and basically playing the wind at that point, wherever the eye was at. He did this continuously while the water was up, and rescued people and bring them back to the office.
We rode to Eagle Point in Wool Market, and Eagle Point was completely wiped out. There was a sailboat that was on top of the roof of a house. So it was pretty sobering. Those first few days, we were all in kind of a bewildered state somewhat.
The afternoon of Katrina making landfall, I remember two things very specifically. One is the Biloxi River was flowing north.
Correct.
Which is very odd to see the river going the wrong way. And then getting close to my neighborhood and the National Guard stopping us. And I said, what's going on? And they said, well, we're rescuing people off the top of their homes. And it still didn't sink into me that my house would, have been destroyed. So until I saw it the next day,
right.
And quite frankly, broke down and cried because I realized we had nothing. But in the end though, it's just stuff.
And all of a sudden, I remember that night they kept talking about the coast, the Mississippi coast. And then at some point they stopped talking about Mississippi at all. And we were scared because we thought, what if it's because there's nothing left?
Mm-hmm.
All the plans we had at that point had to change drastically because there was no calling and there was no faxing, there was no emailing, because we had to kind of start from scratch.
This picture right here is really cool. It's a picture of Ron on the cell phone. I'm surprised the cell phone's even working then, because they didn't work there for the first few days. This is kind of after we were in the meat of it. In all three districts, we all had grease boards, and that, that's how many people were here. That's a representation of a crew of some sort, and all three districts had whiteboards full.
I remember calling Ron, and I said, man, I can't get anywhere. I mean, I'm driving through people's yards, going through ditches, going across medians, trying to get, I needed food, needed stuff, And finally I called him and I said, I'm fixing to pull a wild one. He goes, what? I said, I'm fixing to go home and get my horse. He goes, let's hold off on bringing the horses out. He said, I get what you're saying, but I said, I can't get any. I know I can get anywhere I want to with the horses. But anyway.
When the water receded, the first thing we did, it was a group of us got on, and being who we are and what we do, we jumped in the truck and barreling down, trying to make our way down the line to, let's make sure the hospital comes on, So that's what we do immediately. But then when we do that, we ride down to the Bay Bridge, and when you pull up on the Bay Bridge and you look, and it's like, there ain't nothing there.
Yeah,
Rubble.
it's just
it is
structure.
rubble.
Yeah.
It was, and that's the Bay St. Louis side. We drove up to just like that, and it was like.
But look where we're at now with it.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
A lot of good things come out of and the old adage in politics and stuff is don't ever let a storm. There's a lot of good things that come out of it.
We care about each other. So in that storm, we were trying to take care of our members and also take care of our own employees. So it's a family atmosphere around here to me.
I just think that a natural disaster like Katrina brings out the best in people. I saw it bring out the best in Coast Electric employees and other electric cooperatives and the contractors from across the nation that came here to help us rebuild our lives. They weren't just rebuilding an electric system, they were helping us rebuild our lives. That's actually one of my fondest memories. So out of a tragedy can come some of the best times and the most heartwarming memories that you have for a lifetime.
The biggest lesson I learned is you have to have a plan for your family, because not only your personal family, but Coast Electric's your family as well. So you have to make sure your personal family is going to be taken care of way in advance. You got to have a plan. And I have learned that greatly with my child being in the hospital, making sure my wife had somewhere to go. Because when it comes to a storm hitting, you're dealing with this family.
Yeah.
And our members are part of our family here. And I think that we have grown so much. And my biggest memory is watching these people come from out of town to help us. And I've learned when we go out of town, Josh, I was blessed to go out of town last year with you to them bad storms, some of the worst I've ever seen. Probably worse than Katrina other than the water.
Equally as bad.
Just learning how what we've gave back to these people that was given to us in 05. And I just think it's just, that will never be overlooked. And you build relationships and friendships, and be prepared. You never know what's going to happen.
Well, I know since then we have implemented our liaisons in each of the counties. So with Russ Carruthers in Harrison County, and Shannon is in Pearl River County, and myself with Hancock County, we have established incredible relationships with our emergency management agencies in each of the counties. So we're able to keep up with one another, even just for basic emergencies, strong thunderstorms rolling through the area. We are in constant communications with our government officials, letting them know our situation, learning their situation, and just an open channel of communication moving forward on how we can help one another and the residents in the counties that we serve. So that's been a huge benefit to us. Coastal Mississippians, we are very proud of our community. And that sense of community has only strengthened since then. But you've seen a lot of businesses come back stronger and better. The resiliency, and I think especially at Coast Electric, knowing that how powerful we all are when we come together in times of need, and I think that just goes beyond into our communities as well. So
we had 3,200 people working at the height of the storm in some capacity. But we also had friends here helping us do communications, photography, helping us to feed folks. It just takes a lot of bodies to take care of that many people.
Right.
So the care was just amazing. For our employees, we've built back better and stronger than we were before.
Good things can come out of it. I think that's
Yes.
hard at the time when you see all the destruction.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
here, now that we can look back on it, you can see the good that
Oh yes.
came of it.
Absolutely. It pulled everybody together. Katrina did.
It did, yeah.
Yeah. It did. It did.
You see all these storms, and you're thinking in the back of your mind, is it going to be another storm like this? We all thought it was bad. Nobody knew what it was going to be. Nobody had an idea how bad it was going to be. But the whole time, you're thinking about your family. Are they okay? at the same time, you know you have to get the lights back on. You know you're going to work.
Yeah.
So, you know, as it all started and it went on, you're getting out of your house, and I'll never forget Scott Brown not be able to get to his house, Renee Ollier not be able to get to his house, but we were all at the office. So going back and cutting trails with employees and cutting past to their house and seeing things, and then going into Biloxi and D'Iberville where we have so much underground that was flooded, and you just seeing the homes that are just wiped out. But what I have noticed through all this is the current storms we have, even though they're bad and it seems like more mile an hour, there's nothing to them. We take them with stride from what we learned from this bad storm.
Yeah,
I agree. Because like you said, that, I'd come in, I hadn't long been here, so I was here 6 months, when Katrina hit. Come in overhead construction for the first time and have been here 6 months, done some jobs, learned a little bit, but bam, this happens and it's crash course. Because it's all hands on deck, and next thing you know, you got, we finally, when we did get help in and all that comes in, and you get a plan, and then now you're doing things that in 6 months I never imagined I'd do.
To me, it's always helping others in times of need. Whether we need the help or not, we still got to be there to help those that can't help themselves.
Well, Stephen, think about how many co-ops we have now gone to pay back and pay forward. Scott, we've worked in how many states now in the last 20 years helping others?
Pretty much
It's a
across
lot.
the southeast.
Yeah, that we've sent our guys to kind of pay it back.
Louisiana
And,
all the way to South Carolina.
Yeah,
The one thing that I've taken away from it is we want to pay it forward as much as we can.
yeah.
And we do. I mean, we always have a strong presence wherever we go. And,
We've been there,
right.
so we know what they need.
Just pulling together and loving each other and respecting everyone. I think that says a lot. And once you love, everything else is gonna take place. It's gonna happen. That's my final thought. Just love.